Hey, what's up? It's your girl Nique, and you're tuned in to Nique at Night. And tonight we're going to be talking about Kion Jones and how he is considered critically missing, and they are searching for him in the Washington, D.C. area. Now, his mother came forward and she did an interview where she talked about what happened, what she believes him to be passed away, her actions, what led to her panicking, and what happened. Now, for those of you guys who are, who may not want to hear such details of something happening to an infant and things like that, I want to give you a warning right now to basically click off of the video before we go further and listen to the mom detail to a reporter on what happened to her child and what is going on now, and before I give you any more details. So I'm gonna give you a little second to click off of the video if this might be a little bit too much. Okay. And then for those of you who stay, now I'll tell you basically in a nutshell. So basically in a nutshell, this mom was saying that she was sleeping in a bed with her 2-month-old child. Now, while she was in bed with her 2-month-old child, she says that he rolled over and she realized that he was unresponsive. She panicked, and from her panicking, she threw her baby away. Now, it's very possible that 2-month-olds can have a situation where it's called baby cradle syndrome, or maybe she slept too hard, or it's very plausible that tragedies of this magnitude can happen. But the fact that the mom panicked and threw the baby away, it's alarming other questions. However, there have been no arrests made as of yet, as the police are saying that they cannot refute any of the details or corroborate any of the details until they find the baby. So in the DC area, they are currently looking for the child, searching the local landfills and things like that. Without further ado, I'm going to go on over to the video where she basically details what happened and talks about the events that led up to her throwing her precious baby away. Let's go to it. Okay, and from my knowledge, she gave these details to the reporter first, and then after she gave the details to the cops.
Tell us about your son, Kion, and how old is he? 2 months old. What happened this week? He was in the house, and the last time that I had him was he was in the bed with me, and he was sleeping on the bed with me, and I had rolled over and noticed that he was on the bed with me on my chest. And the last thing that I remember was that I had rolled over and he was on my chest. After that, when I was asleep, rolled over, noticed that he was unresponsive, breathing, and I panicked. And after that, a lady called my phone and questioned me about the whereabouts about him. And I got frustrated about the situation, about him in the household. And she just was like, can she come and take a look at him? And I got frustrated about the situation, about him in the household. And she just was like, can she come and take a look at him? And after that, she came to the house, and I panicked. And after that, I went outside and talked to the lady out front on the porch, and we was just having a mutual conversation about him. And after that, she just was like, she just was gonna call me back, and she just left. So after that, I came back in the house.
Okay, wait. So this is my first time listening to it with y'all. So she's in the bed with her child. Very plausible that, you know, maybe she slept too hard, whatever. She rolled over on him, the baby stopped breathing or whatever, or just could have been cradle baby syndrome or something. So she wakes up, or she realizes that the child is no longer responsive. Okay. Then a lady out of the blue just randomly calls her out of thin air and wants to check on the baby and see the baby. And then she goes outside to talk to the lady. The lady doesn't see the child. And the lady's questioning about the child. And then she goes in the house. Okay, so she goes in the house. And then
With Kayan. He was still in here. And after that, he was still in the bed. So, after I noticed that he was unresponsive, wasn't breathing no more, I had took him outside to see if he wasn't breathing no more. And I noticed that he wasn't breathing no more. So I panicked. And then I went outside, came back in the house, walked around the block 4 couple of times to get a breath of mine. And when I came back in the house, I still noticed that he wasn't breathing anymore. So I went outside. I came back in the house and got a blanket.
okay. She notices that he's unresponsive. She doesn't call 911. She doesn't try to wake him up or mention that she tried to, you know, hello, baby, wake up or something. Doesn't try to call 911 so that they can help her. Maybe if she doesn't know how to do CPR, because everybody doesn't know how. Maybe if she doesn't know how, maybe they can help her and immediately try to get the most fastest response that they can. And then, so she doesn't do that. So then she leaves and then walks around the block while he's unresponsive, doesn't get him aid, walks around the block, and then comes back. And then she notices that he's still unresponsive. Okay.
In his car seat and wrapped up and took it outside.
And so she went and got a blanket, his car seat, wrapped the baby
and
up,
disposed it in the trash.
And threw the baby in the trash.
And that's what happened.
Did the lady that came to help, what did she say? Do you know?
Let me bring that back in case y'all missed a little bit.
In the trash. And wrapped up. I went outside. I came back in the house. And got a blanket. And his car seat. And wrapped up. And took it outside. And disposed of it in the trash.
So she's referring to her baby as it. Put it in the blanket. I got it. And I threw it in the trash. Maybe she's in shock.
And wrapped up and took it outside and disposed of it in the trash. And that's what happened.
Did the lady that came to help, what did she say? Do you know anything of what may have happened to him?
No.
And when you called authorities, what did they say?
I didn't call anybody.
You scared?
Yeah.
Didn't call nobody. I mean, if she would have called somebody, she would have mentioned that already. So that's I already knew she didn't call nobody.
What went through your mind or who called authorities Friday? Do you know? You didn't? So what happens now? Are police still searching?
They're still searching.
They're still searching and looking for him. No.
I'm just getting this.
Now she just now called him a him.
I just got it about 30 minutes ago. Because I was told that CPS had my son. So I have 3 kids that were in the system. So I called my case manager to try to locate him. And they didn't. They said he wasn't in the system. So I haven't had all this done Friday. Because I'm looking for my son. I'm still not satisfied until I find that body.
Okay. So the voice that you hear is the father. And so the father is saying that he already has 3 children in the system already. So a lot of times what happens, not saying that they're on drugs, I don't know them from a can of paint, but a lot of these scenarios, they'll have children get swept up in the system, and then they'll have another baby that somehow does not get taken at the hospital. I've seen it done with family members where they'll have other children that get swept up immediately in the system, and then somehow it'll be like one baby that they'll have that slips through, and they have that child with them. That kind of sounds like what this sounds like. The reason why a random person is calling to check on the child.
Do you know where the body is? Do police know that he didn't make it? And you're the father? What happens next for your family? What's the next?
All I need to do is locate the body right now. I mean, she's saying that he wasn't breathing, that she threw him in the trash. So I need to find out where he's at.
Do you know the area where people could find him?
All this is this trash right here. So somebody come and dump that trash. So it's in the dumpster wherever they dump trash at.
Write your name for me.
LaDanya, Lado.
Okay. I don't know. According to the website, because I read through the website before I watched the video, and it said like cliff notes, and it said like the father's, you hear him in the background or whatever. But you know, this is my first time listening through it. But it said on the website, it says the mayor said that the mom is a person of interest, and it says, sadly, you're referring to a child that MPD continues to investigate his whereabouts and what happened to him, she said. In the video, a man could be heard saying he's Kion's father, and he was the person who called police on May the 7th, 2 days after the infant was last seen in an apartment in the 1500 block of Benning Road. And then it says, I was told that CPS has my son. He could be heard saying then. He adds that an official told him Kion was not in custody of DC Child and Family Agency. I'm looking for my son. I'm still not satisfied until I find that body, the man says. It says News 4 previously asked CFSA if there was any open case file on the family or if they had been alerted of any possible concerns prior to Kion being reported missing. The agency declined to answer, citing privacy laws. Long, the activist who shot the video, said he gave the footage to police. So the person who shot the video, and I guess this was posted on a Facebook Live, they sent the video to the police. But on this article, the police sent out an alert that they were still looking for the child. And on this alert, it said that, on this article somewhere I read, it said that they can't corroborate or refute or deny any of the things that she stated until they actually, find the body or whatever. So it's just a sad situation. What are your thoughts about this? What are your thoughts about the mom's claims of her panicking? Are you a mother who has went through, I don't even know if I'm saying the right term, but I know it's like cradle baby syndrome or baby cradle syndrome or something, cradle something, where the baby passes away in the sleep. And then there's instances where like the mom could be breastfeeding and like the baby could get like smothered by the boob, or the mom could like roll over and like out of super exhaustion, like it can happen that way. How she's explaining it, I don't know. I can't imagine like being a mom and such a tragic thing happens to my child where I find my child unresponsive and I don't even call like 911 or call my friend, call my mom, call somebody to be like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, she didn't mention calling nobody. She just said, I seen he was unresponsive. I walked around the block, came back, and just threw the baby out, like, in the trash. Like, what were you, so, like, you panicked? So were you high? Were you under the influence? Were you, like, because if I'm of sober mind and I know that I didn't do anything wrong, like, yeah, damn, I got a dead baby. But, like, I could only see somebody, like, panicking like that if they were, like, in a state of mind that they wasn't supposed to be in. Or she probably don't even remember what happened because she was in a state of a mind that she wasn't supposed to be in. And came to and realized, oh, damn, what happened? My child is unresponsive. I don't know. Or she could have possibly, the baby could have passed away in the sleep. But I don't know. And, even though I'm at a loss for words, one thing that we don't talk about enough in the Black community is postpartum depression. A lot of us have experienced postpartum depression associated with having a child. And so I'm not even sure if that could have been it. Because I'm looking at her appearance and I'm thinking, well, maybe, this could have been that or this or that, listening to the facts of, the father already saying other children were taken, whatever. But another aspect that we don't talk about enough within the community is postpartum depression and how mothers can cope through it. Now, I was a mom who I suffered from postpartum depression, and I was fortunate enough to, go and seek counseling and help, work through it or whatever. And I had other stuff going on too that I was able to, help work through it. Like, I immediately had my daughter. My cousin had got murdered. Our babies had birthdays or still have birthdays on the same day. Like, it just was a lot, and I feel like postpartum depression, and along with regular depression, was also a situation at that time. And so a lot of women don't even know how to cope sometimes with it. So it's like I'm over here and I'm also thinking like, could it have been drugs? Could it have been this? Could the baby have just, passed in asleep? Like, what was it? Could it have been postpartum depression? Could she have been working through something? Like, I don't know, but I do think that postpartum depression should be talked about more throughout our community. Coping mechanisms, ways to cope, because more women go through it than you think. Um, but even with postpartum depression and there being shock, disassociation, something about her story just still doesn't feel right. And so it just makes me think like, was she out of it? Like, was she under the influence of something to where, I don't know. All I know is her story just baffles me because even, I don't know, like she didn't call for help for anybody. And it wasn't until the father, he's the one who finally called the police, and she doesn't even say like where the child is. They're like, do you know where the child may be? Like, she should at least be able to say, I threw him in this garbage pan, like this is the trash I threw him in on this block, on this street. At like, they asked her like, did she know where the child was, like where she put him in and she's like, no. So I don't know. I don't know.